Wavebreaker is a fantasy project inspired by worlds like those of A Song of Ice and Fire or the Witcher novels, with some Frisian culture, language, and history thrown in for good measure. So if you're into thematically dark and gritty fantasy with a diverse cast of morally grey characters, then you might like Wavebreaker. Okay, but elevator pitch aside, what is this project really about? A lot, actually, but mainly it's about a society struggling against oppression, I would say. First, there is the oppression of a minority group, in this case, magic users. While magic is not completely illegal in Tarn, it is limited to a small fraction of a fraction of the population. You have to both be born with magical potential and attend an expensive school for mages to be legally allowed to cast magic in any capacity. Otherwise, the use of magic is punishable by death, a law that is enforced by the very mages who studied in the aforementioned school, called the Arcanum. Any mage of the Arcanum has visible tattoos along the back of the left hand, and if their validity should ever be questioned, they are to carry their arcane anchor on their person at all times to make them out as legally sanctioned mages. If they don't, they face the same death penalty as any other illegal magic user. Now, the Arcanum is a ruthless organization, yes, but they're not stupid. Their goals will always be to further their research at any cost, while recruiting as many capable children as possible to indoctrinate. I mean, teach, of course. So instead of killing everyone illegally casting magic, they sometimes recruit them either into their spy network or employ them for other purposes. All until they are no longer needed, of course, at which point these people all mysteriously disappear. Anyway, on to the other kind of oppression, the more widespread one. The lower class being oppressed by the upper class. Typical stuff really, you see it everywhere. What sets Wavebreaker slightly apart from the norm is the history of the region. What is now the Kingdom of Tarn was not a kingdom at all until less than 40 years ago. In fact, the Prieske Fürstentümer, as they had been called, hadn't had a centralized ruler or government for centuries. Instead, every Fürstentum had been represented by a Fürst. Importantly, they were not ruled by the Fürsten, but represented and overseen. They mediated disputes, they led local armies in case of an invasion, and they presided over the law as judges in some of the Fürstentümer. And every few years, a new Fürst would be democratically elected by the people. Importantly, there was also no serfdom in the Prieske culture. Land wasn't owned by nobles, but by its residents instead. But everything unfortunately changed when the Holy Imperium of Isbrand invaded the Fürstentümer, which eventually led to the creation of a kingdom in their place, the details of which I'll get into in another video. To summarize though, the Prieske people are not used to the kind of oppression they are facing now, the lack of those freedoms they had always taken for granted. And now the whole kingdom is aching under the pressure from within, while the Holy Imperium is still very much a serious outside threat. That is really what it's all about, the struggle against oppression and the devastating consequences this struggle might have on the nation in the long run. And within that, it's always about people, humanity. Basically, the William Faulkner quote, you know the one. The only thing worth writing about is the human heart in conflict with itself. I like that. It's been floating around in my head ever since I first heard it, and it's had a huge influence on me. This channel is going to be entirely dedicated to my world building and my writing. I'll make more videos kind of like this one on all kinds of topics concerning Wavebreaker, like historical events, characters, religion, organizations, anything. But I also want to share some of the short stories I've written. Anyway, that's it for this little intro video. This didn't really even scratch the surface, so if you want to know more, you have to come back next time. I hope to see you then. Bye bye.